Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Riley. I am speaking to you from North Alabama, and I want to welcome you to a recorded session of our discussion about Alabama's Notary Accountability Act of 2023. We're going to review the changes to Alabama's notary laws that went into effect September 1, 2023. Some of you may know this as being Senate Bill 322. Once it was voted on, passed, signed into law, it is now referred to as Act 2023 548. Now, this is not the first time that I have talked about these changes. When I heard about this bill gaining momentum in the legislature, I started hosting free Zoom meetings as early as, I'm going to say, June of last year, just to get notaries talking about it. And then those meetings became monthly and sometimes several times a month once the law was um, passed. But I thought it would be good to check in with notaries and review it again. We have some new notaries that have joined the ranks. And so this is an opportunity for them to hear about what has changed. So for the next hour, that's what we will be talking about. If you don't know me, I'm a commissioned notary here in Madison County. I do own two small businesses, Alabama Notary and Process Server, and Notaries for Alabama. Under Notaries in Alabama, that's where I do my training and my mentoring. I am also a notary ambassador for the state of Alabama and for the National Notary Association. And I wear a couple of other different hats as a licensed PI and insurance agent. But I am most passionate about the field of notaries. So, how did we get here? And I want to thank, right now, I'm being joined by LaTrenda Miller, who is also in Madison County. We have worked together in the field, and she makes it a point to attend as many classes as possible. How are you doing, LaTrenda? I Go ahead and unmute if you would.
Sorry. Thank you, Michelle. I'm doing really good. And thank you for offering this again. It's always great to stay on top of what's going on in Alabama. And you do a really good job of doing that. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. And feel free at any point where you have a question, go ahead and unmute and
Okay.
ask your question. And
Okay.
so for many notaries, this change in the notary law seemed to have come out of nowhere. It was very sudden. Usually, it takes several different sessions in order for the lawmakers to agree that a new notary law needs to be passed. But it seemed as soon as it was proposed, it was passed. It just happened quickly. And so I think it's a good idea for us to talk briefly about why this law came about. Um, we really shouldn't be too surprised about it. Why? Because there has been an increase in fraud, not only in the notary world, but in many different industries across America. There's the real estate fraud that frequently takes place. You'll have someone pretending to own property, transfer it in their name, and sell it without the true property owners knowing anything about it. And anyone who works in business is familiar with cybercrime. I have a 9 to 5 job, and we routinely have to go through special training about how to avoid phishing emails and spam that has something harmful attached to it. But that is now, we didn't even hear about cybercrime very much, that term 10, 15 years ago, and now it's a very common term. Also, there has been, unfortunately, some individuals who have gotten in the notary arena, the notary business, for the purpose of for fraudulent reasons, I'll say. Now, some notaries unknowingly get tricked by individuals in their community. Those are notaries probably who haven't gone through any formal training and don't know how to properly ID a signer and the other requirements. But unfortunately, there have been court cases where notaries knowingly committed fraud. And so that's one reason why I feel our elected officials decided to tighten the notary rules. There has also been historically a lack of notary training here in Alabama. There is, up until last year, there was no mandatory training requirement for notaries. So you could get your commission on Monday and start notarizing on Tuesday or whenever you order and got your seal. And so by not requiring notaries to go through training, many of them did not know how to and when to administer an oath, the different types of notarizations that are out there, when to say no to a notarization. And so thankfully now there is some mandatory training that will help with the lack that still exists across the state. So again, in looking at how did we get here, there's a whole different kind of notary out there now. Historically, it would be a insurance agent who would also be a notary, and you would go to their office, or it would be someone at work or at church. But now, due to a variety of reasons, there are individuals becoming notaries for the sole purpose of starting a business and earning a living doing this full time. And when you couple that with no mandatory training requirement, that's a train wreck just waiting to happen. And so I'm not blaming any demographic, young or older notary. The fact is, if you become a notary for the purpose of making 6 figures, 7 figures, that's a problem because some may want to bend the notary laws or rules in order to accomplish that financial goal. And that last bullet on the screen under notary demographic says a lot. Historically, notaries would be commissioned for, wow, for 16, 20 plus years. And so they had a lot of experience. But right now, especially in Alabama, we're seeing a growth in one-term notaries. And when I think back on the notarizations I performed during that first year and first term, I shudder because I wasn't trained until after about 2 years into my first commission. And I know there were several notarizations that I did incorrectly. And then finally, it had been a while since Alabama's notary laws had been updated. And so with the new changes that went into effect in September, we were able to get some updates made to those laws. I'm going to pause here. Any questions or comments, LaTrenda?
No, no questions or comments at this time.
All right. And so that led our legislators to move forward with Senate Bill 322, Act 2023, 548. So what changed? First and foremost, notaries with active commissions on September 1, 2023 became subjected to new standards, a list of unlawful acts, and penalties. And so a question that keeps coming up is, and I get it even as recently as last week, hey, Michelle, my commission doesn't renew until 2025. Do I need to go and do the mandatory training now and get the new bond and um, pay the new fee? Do I need to do that now? And my response to them is there are some parts of the new law that affect all of us immediately. And that's what we're going to really focus on right now. Don't think because your commission doesn't renew until 2027 or 2028 that you don't need to do anything. There are some things that are going to wait until you renew your commission. But as far as the new standards, the unlawful acts that you have to avoid, and the penalties, those went into effect for all of us last year on September 1st. Those of you who are brand spanking new, have never been commissioned before and are going through the process, and those of you who are about to renew, I want to talk about what will affect you. And so you're going to find that there is a brand new, never before $10 application fee and a new application form that you must fill out. Instead of purchasing the $25,000 notary bond that you purchased previously, it's going to be a $50,000 notary bond. I mentioned the mandatory training course. I hope if we have time, I'm going to bring that up on the screen and show you how to access that course. To complete it, you're going to have to also pass a background check. And then the new and renewing notaries, you will also be subjected to the new standards, unlawful acts, and penalties. So now let's do a deeper dive into each of those things. So as you know, as notaries, we are required in Alabama to be bonded. That's a big deal. Whenever someone in government requires that you be bonded, that should say to you, uh-oh, that means there's a financial liability I'm subjected to, okay? I'm going to be forced to pay some money out in certain scenarios. And so again, in the past, it was just $25,000 and it cost you $50. Now, when you renew or become a brand new notary, the amount of your notary surety bond will need to be $50,000. Alabama now has the highest notary bond amount in the United States. I did my research and I couldn't find another state requiring that amount. That says something. That says a whole lot to those of us who are in the insurance business. It is letting us know that the state is serious about us, each of us, myself included, being financially responsible and liable, responsible for any notarizations that we perform, and our actions result in someone being harmed in the general public, that Alabama is going to say, pay up, Michelle, whether my error was an honest mistake or a careless mistake. I agree that if someone is financially harmed, that I'm going to pay out of pocket a minimum of $50,000 to cover their losses. I shouldn't say a minimum of, because it could be less than that. The cost for $50,000 surety bond is going to be $70. Keep in mind, these bonds are good for a 4-year period, and that's the entire term of your notary commission. The other thing that's important for you to know is that a bond is similar to a loan or credit, meaning if someone files a claim against your bond, you, the notary, has to repay the bond company that money. This is not insurance. It does not work that way. So this is to make sure that we think twice every time we use our notary seal, and to recognize we can't get away with just saying, oh, I am so sorry. We got to write a check. The other new change is that $10 application fee. Now, in the past, some of the counties did have an application form to complete, but very few did. Here in Madison County, all I had to do is show up at the courthouse, well, at the probate office, with my notary bond and my ID, and that was it. The clerk did everything else. But now there is one application for all counties. Why am I drawing a blank? I think there are 57 counties, don't quote me, in Alabama. The form is online. It's on the website that we'll go to, alpja.org. You fill it out. You can fill it out online. You can print it out and fill it out if you prefer. And this application fee is separate from the commission fee or the recording fee, all right? And the information that you put on that application will be verified. They are going to do a deep dive on where you say you live, and they're going to ask you some background questions. Speaking of those questions, that background check again is going to make certain that you really do live in Alabama and you live in the county that you say you live in. Believe it or not, there are many notaries who are using their mother's address, Aunt Matilda's address, or they're living in or they reside in other states altogether, but are using a mailing address here in Alabama in order to get their commission. And so now they're going to verify that. They're checking to see if we have any felonies on our record, if we are guilty of committing crimes of moral turpitude. I used to think these were big, scary crimes. They are not. Shoplifting, many misdemeanors are crimes of moral turpitude. So this is anything that suggests you cannot be trusted to be a notary. They're checking your records, and if they have doubts, they will not approve you. Now, this one surprised many of us. If you are applying for or renewing your commission and you happen to be in the process of filing bankruptcy, you will not be approved to be a notary. Now, this doesn't mean if you've filed bankruptcy in the past that you can't be a notary. But Alabama, again, going back to that bond and knowing that we are financially responsible for the errors that we cause, Alabama said, well, if someone is filing bankruptcy, how are they going to be responsible for financially responsible for their mistakes? And it just, the math isn't mathing there. And so you will have to wait it out until you are through the bankruptcy process before getting your commission approved. If the state deems you to be incapacitated physically or mentally, you won't be able to be a notary. And then if you provide any false information on your application and they find it out, you will not be approved. Again, we're going through the commissioning process. So what else changed? The mandatory notary training. This is totally new, something we've not had or seen in the past. Now, the training, I don't want to give you the impression that the training is going to teach you how to fill out a notary certificate, how to calculate the fee, how to know when to give an oath or not. It's not that type of training. The focus of this training is on the new laws. Alabama wants to make sure that you understand how you will be held accountable, criminally, legally accountable for your actions. And so they are forcing each of us to go through this online 30 slide, they may have added a few more slides, training, and then you will get a certificate of completion saying that you went through and you are now familiar with and understand what's expected of you. And you'll need to present that certificate of completion when you go ahead and apply for your commission. You can start this training within 30 days of sending in your application form. It is self-paced online. There is a quiz, but it's not an exam. And the quiz is like many of these quizzes online where they're just doing a knowledge check. And so they'll present you with information, and then on another slide, they will ask you refer back to that information that you just learned. And there is no fee to take the training. So again, the training goes over notary duties, your legal and ethical responsibilities, fee information, how much you can charge. It also talks about how to treat certain documents, and it goes over penalties for our misbehavior. If by chance you are a licensed attorney and you also serve as a Alabama notary, you are exempt from the notary training. You do not have to do it. Those of you who are curious and don't want to wait, yes, you can log on to the website and complete the training now, but you will have to do it again when it's time to renew. And I kind of recommend that so that you can have a better idea of what Alabama is really serious about you doing or not doing. Because again, we're held accountable for it today. All right, so new responsibilities under notary standards. On September 1, 2023, us notaries, or we notaries, us notaries? No, we notaries were able to charge $10 for each notarial act or each notarization that we perform. That is an increase from the $5 that it was previously. Now, this is something that I think is really important. The new law states if you work for the state, county, or municipality, and you are employed by one of those areas, you cannot charge a notary fee while you are working, okay? Unless it is allowed by law, and I can't think of when that would be. So if you work for the state of Alabama, one of the counties, or you work for a municipality here in the state, and in the past you may have been allowed to charge a fee, according to the law, that is no longer the case, and you should only be notarizing signatures when you're at work for free. Something else that gets called out in the new law deals with the notary certificate language. So I'm talking about the notary block or the notary certificate, the section of the form where we notaries fill it out by hand and place our seal and our commission information. Too often, those certificates are not reflecting correct information, but yet notaries aren't doing anything about it. Let me give you an example of what I mean. If the notary certificate says that Beyonce and Jay-Z appeared before me, the notary, but yet only one person is sitting across from me, the notary, and I'll say it's Jay-Z, and he says, Michelle, you know, my wife and daughter are on tour. They'll be here this evening. My lawyer told me to come on now and meet with you now, and notarize the form. You know, my wife, you know, it'll be okay. No, I need to make changes to that certificate so that it's clear that I only met with JC and no one else. So this is saying it must have the correct certificate language, all right? There is also information in the new law that talks about documents that are used in court cases that needs to include the jurat language, requiring the signer, the customer, to take an oath that the information in the document is correct. There's also something in there about remote notarizations, that the remote notary include information to make everyone know this notarization was done remotely. Now, don't get ahead of me and think, oh, Michelle is saying we do remote online notarizations. I'm not saying that at all. So again, this is covered in the notary training, which is a good reason, again, to go ahead and go on and take that training. And they do make some recommendations in the training, so make sure you take a look at that. And for every notarization, it's imperative that not only we sign our name, but we also include our notary seal. Believe it or not, documents are showing up at the courthouse where a notary will just sign their name and not put their seal on there. Now they're going to be rejecting those documents. For really for all notarizations, but the way the law reads, it definitely calls out acknowledgments that it's imperative that the notarizations be conducted in the state of Alabama and in the physical presence of a notary, and only after the notary has verified the signer's identity. And so again, there are times when notaries will bend the rules. The signer will say they're in a hurry. Can they go ahead and notarize it now? And I'll come back later, or my wife signed this form at home and bringing it to you. No, the new law says before we use our seal or apply our signature, we have to verify the signer's identity. And I know for some of you, you're thinking this stuff is basic. This is what folks should be doing already, and that's true. But again, if a notary has never taken any training, they don't know this. I'm going to run through these quickly and linger on a little bit the ones that are highlighted. We notaries will be charged with a Class C misdemeanor if and when we pretend to be a notary and we're not, or if any person pretends to be a notary. If we perform a notarization when our commission has expired, been suspended, or revoked. I know firsthand of notaries who have done that. Oh yeah, there was this gap. I didn't realize it had expired. I'll get it done. I'll renew it when I get paid. And they're still stamping and signing. Notarizing signatures before taking the oath of office. It is now a requirement in all counties when you buy that, purchase your bond, you now need to go before a notary, not at the probate office, before you get there, and have that notary swear you in to take your oath of office. Charging a fee in excess of the maximum fee amount. There are notaries out there charging whatever they want to charge. We cannot charge more than $10 per notarization. Yes, we can still charge for travel, but it needs to be a reasonable travel fee. Performing a notarization without requiring personal appearance. I know you're like, who would do that? I've done it in the past. It was a long time ago, prior to me getting any training. I didn't know better. So if you also don't know better, consider yourself informed. The signer can't meet with your boss at a restaurant, sign it, and then leave. Even if it's the company's best client, it doesn't matter. That signer has to show up in front of you in the flesh in order for you to verify their identity, ask them some other questions, and then you can sign and seal. Performing a notarization, I just talked about that, without verifying their identity. Here, the law is letting us know if you personally know someone, you don't have to require them to show you government issue ID. Taking a verification or proof without verifying their identity. And that also applies to the witness. So if a document is being signed that requires witnesses, we need to ask for government issue ID from the witnesses. And performing a notarization where the notary has financial interests. And this is a fancy word for that. And this could be direct interest or indirect interest. If it comes close to benefiting you in any way, shape, or form, you need to decline to perform that notarization. It is now law that anyone involved in a transaction and a form needs to be notarized, if they think you treated them poorly or did something illegal, they can file an official complaint against us with the probate judge, and that judge will initiate an investigation with ALEA, Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, and the district attorney's office. I do not want to be a party of an investigation. I'll be a witness, but I don't want to be the subject. I don't want to be the defendant. This is new. Now, folks could always complain about us, but when you read in the law how that investigation takes place, I was shook. They mean business. If we resign our commission or our commission expires, that doesn't mean we're off the hook. So if you do your dirt and then say, oh, I'm not a notary anymore, that was in the past, the law says they can still prosecute you. A probate judge can order injunctive relief against anyone who violates these laws. They can sit us down. So if they're hearing enough complaints about me, the judge can now say, Michelle, I'm revoking your commission from this day forth. Do not use your seal until we complete our investigation. I'm really happy about this item here. Anyone who knowingly solicits a notary to commit fraud will also be considered guilty of fraud. I've had people solicit me to commit fraud, and I'm waiting for someone to ask me to do it again so that I can report them. An example of this might be, especially if you're a mobile notary, you go to someone's home to notarize their signature on a will or a power of attorney, and when you get there, you know good and time well that they aren't alert, don't know what they're talking about. But this is soliciting. So let me say this: a family, your coworker, someone from the church contacts you, hey, Michelle, or hey, LaTrenda, I know you're a notary and all. You know what? I remember I told you my mom, she was coming down with Alzheimer's or dementia. Well, she's in hospice now. We got the forms drawn up, but just never had the notary come. It's signed already. She signed it, but can you just come and notarize it? All right. That is soliciting, especially when we say, no, we can't do it. And they're like, well, I'll make it worth your while. So again, notaries, we have the opportunity when we're solicited to report the caller or the requester. It will be a Class D felony if we intentionally complete a false or fake notarization. How are we going to know if it's false or fake? By reviewing the document and what it says. I get really wound up, and LaTrenda knows this, when I hear notaries say in social media or in meetings, oh, we don't have to worry about the form and what it says and what it does. All I got to do is check their ID. That was never the case. And I'm so happy that Alabama has now put it in law. And if we do it, now granted, this is saying intentionally. I'm hoping most notaries it would be unintentional, but we shouldn't be doing it at all. It's going to be a felony if the signer doesn't personally show up before the notary, if the witnesses don't personally appear before us. I can't tell you how many times, especially for the wills, that the signer will be like, oh, my witness can't come. Michelle, go ahead and notarize my signature, and I'll just go have the witness it later. When they ask me to do that, it's a no. I need everybody in the room. Knowingly notarize signatures without having the proper commission status. All right. taking a look at time, I think we're doing okay. The law further clarifies remote notarization in Alabama. Hear me clearly, hear me now. Remote online notarization is not approved or allowed by Alabama notaries. We do not have Ron. We do not have Ron. What we do have is REN, Remote Ink Notarization. When performing this, the signer must make a signature that is wet or original, present 2 forms of government issue ID to the notary remotely, answer questions asked by the notary from public-private database, kind of like KBA or knowledge-based authentication questions as an example, and then mail the signed document to the notary. The notary needs to make sure that his or her signature on this form is original and wet. We can use we must use either our embosser or our ink stamp as our seal. There is no electronic seal with remote ink notarization, nor is there any electronic signatures with remote ink notarization. The state our laws are recommending that we use a new, specially designed REN notary certificate. You'll find it on the training website. And then once we're done with it and recorded it in our journal, because it is the REN notarizations must be recorded, then mail that form back to the signer. So this is not a quick and easy process for REN. What are the approved platforms? I get this question every week. Someone calls me, emails me, sends me a message through social media. The approved platform, Zoom, WebEx, GoToMeeting. All these other platforms are for Ron, not REN. It's imperative that you use one of these platforms with audio, video, and recording turned on. Okay. Unapproved platforms are the Ron platforms. Any platform that is going to require an electronic certificate, an electronic seal, and an electronic signature, it ain't for you. Don't let these people take your money. And they've been taking Alabama notaries' monies, and it ticks me off because the people selling these platforms know better. But they're doing it anyway, and I need to report them to the Alabama District Attorney's Office, because to me, that is just, I'm sorry, I digress. Never, ever, ever use your signature or seal. Never perform a remote notarization for an absentee ballot, for voting, and even applying to vote absentee. So my suggestion, anything dealing with voting, don't notarize it remotely. You can only do that in person. And those of you who have been doing remote notarizations, and now you know you've been doing them incorrectly, I understand. During COVID, we had different remote rules. These rules came into effect, I want to say 2021 or 2022. This is why it's so important to keep going back to the notary laws and make sure there haven't been any updates. All right. If you need more information about remote notarization in Alabama, you can go to the Alabama Secretary of State's website. You can go to my training website for information. You can go to my YouTube channel, Just Google Alabama Remote Ink Notarization. And then I have a website called Alabama Remote Notary. You can download the remote law from there. And yes, it is on one of my 2024 goals is to host a training class on how to correctly perform remote inks notarizations in Alabama. If you would like a copy of Alabama's new notary law, it is on the Secretary of State's website. You can download a free copy on my trainalabama.com website. To renew your notary commission, we're going to go there. We have 10 minutes left. Those of you who feel like you are in a vacuum or you seem to be one of the last to hear about these law changes, I want to encourage you to network with other Alabama notaries by joining a Facebook group. It's called Notaries for Alabama Hangout. This is not a Facebook group where you post pictures of your dinner, show pictures of your beautiful pets. We're all about the notary business. So join us. It's a great way to hear what's going on with notaries around the state. All right. Questions before I pull up the probate judge website? Any questions?
Michelle, I have a question. I just want to make sure, maybe I missed it, but did you answer the question about if we need to renew and we've still got a year or two left, do we need to go ahead and get that $50,000 surety bond now? Or can we wait until it's time for us to renew?
I'm really glad you brought that up because I really did not address that clearly at all. So to answer your question, those of you who are in the middle of your commission, do not go out and purchase the new bond. Wait until your renewal date, okay? Alabama, the law could have required us to do that, but it does not, and I do not recommend it. And I say that I'm speaking to you as a licensed insurance agent who sells the notary bonds. And so you are still protected under your existing $25,000 bond until your renewal date. You don't need to complete that new application and go through a background check. You will have to do it when it's renewal time. So the only thing that impacts you, LaTrenda, today is Alabama does expect you to adhere to the new standards, how to avoid a misdemeanor and a felony, those things, making sure everyone shows up in the flesh. You can charge the higher notary fee now. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that answers my question. And just one more quick question.
Sure.
If you are regarding hold on, I lost my train of thought. The background check. If you're renewing or if it's your first time and you're a member of NNA, does that background check, is that acceptable for the state of Alabama, or they're going to run their own background check anyway?
Excellent, excellent questions. Um, because as you know, many Alabama notaries are also signing agents. And you're right, they went through a background check with the National Notary Association. Unfortunately, the NNA's background check for signing agent has nothing to do with Alabama's background check for our commissions. So we will have to do both. Okay, and there is no way around that, whether it's the NNAs, whether it is Notary Rotaries, there's a few others out there. Those of you who have top secret clearance here in Alabama through your jobs. Unfortunately, that background check won't apply either. But hey, if you've got top secret clearance, you should have no concerns about passing Alabama's notary background check. Any other, I'm loving your questions, so Trenda. Anything else that you think I may have skimmed over too quickly or not gone deep enough on?
No, those were the only two things that stood out with me right now. But thank you so much for all the information.
You are welcome. I would like for us to take a quick look. I was hoping I could do this easily. Let's see if I can. No, that's not going to do it. All right, let me try again. A quick look at the probate judge website. Give me a moment for that to load. Just want to point out a few things. Great. So again, feel free to be curious and head over there now or over the weekend when you have some free time. You're going to alpja.org, Alabama Probate Judges Association. When you get to this site, this is what it will look like. Do not click on this. You won't break anything, but it won't take you where you want to go. You want to click on the link that says Notary Public Training. When you do that, it will bring you to the notary application process. What I love about this are a couple things. One, they have outlined the 6 steps you'll need to follow, whether you're a newbie notary or a renewing notary. The other thing that I like, they have answered some questions here, frequently asked questions. So you can click on this, and this is the question that LaTrinda asked. So they put it on the website because it keeps coming up. And so for step 1, so when it is time to renew, one thing I want to stress, forget about how you used to renew your commission or how you did it last year. Just get that out your head, because if you don't, you're going to miss an important step. You're going to start here to download the application form to fill it out. Again, you can complete it online if you want. Type your information in. It's very self-explanatory. And then when you're done, you'll print it, sign it. I walked mine into Madison County. You can, no, I shouldn't say you can. I was about to say you can mail it in. I don't want to say that. I recommend that you call and ask if that's an option. I walked mine in because keep in mind, you also have to pay that $10 application fee. All right, after you do that, you file it. Step 2 is taking that application form and fee to the probate office. Step 3 is to wait for a notification. It's like a letter of appointment from the probate office. That's when you know they have finished, they've conducted the background check, you pass, and now you're ready to proceed. If you want, while you're waiting for the letter of appointment, if you want to go ahead and complete the online training course, you can. Or you can wait. I suggest you go ahead and do it. Step 4, remember you've got your letter of appointment. This is where you click to take the training. Okay? And they allow you to preview the slides by clicking on here. All right, am I going to be able to get back? Yes. Once you complete the training course, you print the certificate. It'll have your name. For me, it didn't print the date, but I took it there anyway. They didn't have a problem with it. So when I go to the, okay, so you complete the training. See, I almost missed a step. Once you have the letter of appointment, then you purchase your bond. Do not do it before then. After approval, get the surety bond. You can go to any insurance agent that sells bonds to get this. If you don't have a close relationship with an insurance agent, feel free to contact me or go to my website, thebondlady.org, to purchase your bond. Then you're going to go to the probate office with your letter of appointment, your certificate, training certificate, and the bond. Make sure you meet with that notary before you get to the probate office to do your oath of office. And then you're going to be charged the additional commission fee. And by the way, so far, most of the counties I'm hearing about have increased the commission fee. In Alabama, Madison counties went up substantially. I'm going to go back to the home page. If you do not have the contact information for your county's probate office, now you click this, click on your county. Let me make sure I'm not moving too quickly. Yep, you're with me. And for Madison County, it tells me where it's located, what their hours are. And if I click on the link for notary commissions, it reviews the 6 steps with me. And this is how I found out where the last time I renewed, my commission fee was like $30. Now it's $75.25. I know, LaTrenda. I know. I was expecting it to go up to like $50 or something. I did a little step back. I was like, ooh,
Ooh, yeah, that's a significant jump.
yeah, my wallet felt that. It definitely felt that. So
That's
you
that
want,
right here.
yeah. So you want to plan your renewal.
Yeah.
75 plus a $10 application fee plus $70 for the notary bond. And we haven't even talked about if you need any new seals or stamps.
Mm.
So just wanted to show you that. All right. I am pleased that we got as much done as we did in the time that we had. If there has ever been a time for Alabama notaries to get trained, now is really the time. It's important. You do not want to be out there making mistakes at a point where the signer's family can file official complaints against you. And so I want to encourage, especially those of you who are notarizing at work, speak to your employer. Let them know there are new rules in place, new laws in place, and you want to make sure that you are doing everything in compliance with Alabama notary laws. And so consider taking Alabama specific training. Notary Basics is a class I've been offering or conducting since 2013. And I am headed back to the classroom in February. I will be hosting Classroom Notary Basics, and I'll continue to offer training online to Zoom and through Zoom, so you have a choice. And my goal is to make it to Jefferson County in March to do in-person classroom training and then to head on down the state. So please go on trainalabama.com, bookmark it, and just keep an eye as different classes get rolled out. Make sure you have the information you need to perform notarizations correctly. This completes our discussion about Alabama's Notary Accountability Act of 2023. I hope you found this information helpful. If you have questions or would like to speak with me or speak at your place of business or a meeting, reach out to me. My contact information can be found. It should be on a slide, but it isn't. Let me see if there it is. Nope, it isn't, but you can reach me by going to notariesforalabama.com. Thank you and safe notarizing. Have a good rest of your day.